So you're telling me that 4 years after what everyone thought was the final content update for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and over 5 years since the game launched, Nintendo just dropped a massive new update on a random Thursday morning with basically no warning? Yeah, that's insane. And also very classic Nintendo. We gotta talk about this, because surprisingly, there's a lot here. So this morning, Nintendo just casually dropped a 12-minute trailer announcing not only a Switch 2 version of the game, but also a massive free update with tons of new content. No direct, no build-up, just, hey, by the way, here's a bunch of stuff for Animal Crossing. First up, Animal Crossing New Horizons is getting a full Switch 2 edition. And look, I'll be honest, if you had asked me to make a list of Switch games that needed Switch 2 editions, Animal Crossing probably wouldn't have been at the top of my list. So I wasn't necessarily expecting this game to get one, but hey, I'm not complaining. The Switch 2 version is of course getting improved visuals, which presumably means 4K support. And honestly, I thought the game already looked pretty good even at a lower resolution. But there's nothing wrong with making it look even better, I guess. But the more interesting addition is mouse controls. And for a game like Animal Crossing, where you're constantly decorating, designing custom patterns, and organizing your island, that could actually be pretty useful. They showed it being used for drawings and furniture placement, and yeah, I can see mouse controls being a nifty feature for this game. They also discussed how the Switch 2 version is getting enhanced online features. You can now have up to 12 players on an island at once, which is kind of funny when you think about it, like how many people actually have 12 friends with Switch 2s who all own Animal Crossing and want to visit your island at the same time. But I get that the main thing here is Nintendo trying to integrate game chat into this game. But then they revealed this new megaphone item that uses the Switch 2's mic to let you call out to villagers on your island. Since the mic is on the actual console, I guess you're supposed to yell out their names and they'll respond and show you where they are. It's kind of random, but I guess it's also kind of charming in a Nintendo sort of way. So yeah, Switch 2 edition for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Maybe it should have been more expected considering this is Nintendo's second best-selling game on the Switch, but for whatever reason, it wasn't top of mind for me. In hindsight, it feels like it makes complete sense to release a Switch 2 version for this game. But even under those circumstances, let me tell you what I wasn't expecting. A big, new, free 3.0 content update. Because again, we all thought that the 2.0 update was the finale, the farewell, the end of the road. But apparently not. Let's go through what's new, because there's genuinely a lot here. In my opinion, the biggest addition is Captain's Family Hotel. It seems to me that it may work kind of similarly to the Happy Home Paradise DLC, where you can decorate guest rooms in the hotel and earn a new currency, hotel tickets, that can be used to buy new items from the hotel shop. Honestly, I can't believe they added what is essentially an entirely new system to the game this many years later. Like, it's one thing to add some quality of life features or new items, but to add basically an entirely new progression loop with rewards is very cool. I actually think this is the kind of feature that could genuinely bring people back to the game. But honestly, the thing that might matter most to people who have sunk hundreds of hours into Animal Crossing is something they showed but didn't even mention in the trailer. It was on screen for like 2 seconds. If you played New Horizons, you know what a pain it is to craft items one at a time, waiting for the animation to finish each time. Well, from the looks of it, it seems like they finally added bulk crafting, which is something players have been asking for since the beginning of the game. And now we're finally getting it more than 5 years later. Better late than never, I guess. Apart from that, they also increased the max storage to 9,000 items, and you can now store trees, shrubs, and flowers as well. Rossetti is also back, allowing you to select portions of your island to clean up, so you can basically start fresh with that area. Overall, I think these are some pretty solid quality of life features. And then there's this new wild feature called Slumber Islands. So it seems like you can now create up to 3 additional islands, separate from your main island, where you can terraform, decorate, invite villagers, and even invite friends to play with you. This is actually really cool. Before, if you wanted to build or decorate something with friends, you'd have to do it on your main island. Now it seems like you have these extra 3 islands that you can kind of just use as sandboxes. You can experiment, build stuff together, and not worry about messing up your actual island. I low-key think this is one of the best features in this entire update, and might actually open up multiplayer building in a way the game never really supported before. And then, as if that wasn't enough, we're getting a bunch of new collaborations. The first one they showed off was adding more Nintendo game console items. Of course, they have to add the Switch too, but they also added a bunch of classic Nintendo consoles. And if you're an NSO subscriber, you can actually play certain games on those consoles inside Animal Crossing. Like for example, we saw Ice Climber playable on the NES. I think this is cool, but certainly understand if some people think it's a bit frivolous. I just wish it wasn't tied to NSO. Then we got to see a collab that actually surprised me a bit, and that was a collab with LEGO. We're getting a bunch of LEGO themed items in the game, and they actually look pretty cool. It's generally pretty rare to see a third-party collab inside of a Nintendo first-party game outside of something like Smash. The only other one that I can remember is the Sanrio one in New Horizons. Like, we've seen Nintendo IP appear elsewhere, like the famous Breath of the Wild tunic you could get in Skyrim. But otherwise, collabs like this are pretty rare, and just something notable that caught my attention. And then lastly, we were shown a few more collabs that are more in line with what I was expecting. And those were new items and outfits for Zelda and Splatoon. Naturally, the Zelda items and outfits seem to be very Tears of the Kingdom themed, and the Splatoon ones seem to be from Splatoon 3. I thought it was interesting though to see new villagers as a part of these collabs. Like, I know the Animal Crossing series has had crossover villagers before, but I feel like this is an area where Nintendo could have gone further with New Horizons. Like, people love collabs and crossovers, and I just think Animal Crossing is such a good match for something like this. But yeah, that's the update. There's a lot here. I haven't played New Horizons in a while, but this update genuinely showed me enough to convince me to fire up Animal Crossing when the update comes out in January. And that certainly wasn't a thought that I was expecting to have when I woke up this morning. On a random Thursday in October with no direct, no build-up, no warning, Nintendo decided to reveal this big update for Animal Crossing with little to no fanfare. But maybe this is just something that's kinda on the table now with the Switch 2 updates for old Switch games. With this Animal Crossing update, Nintendo's now starting to set this precedent where the Switch 2 updates usually contain more than just visual enhancements, and in the best of cases, include entirely new content or DLC. It kinda feels like pretty much every first-party game that doesn't yet have a Switch 2 version now has some possibility of getting new content. I mean, that's certainly exciting for someone like me that's built up a pretty extensive library of first-party Switch games. So what about you? Are you planning to jump back into Animal Crossing for this update? Is there another game that you hope receives an update like this? Let me know in the comments. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing. As a relatively new channel, it helps a ton. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.